السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين وعلى آله وصحبه وبارك وسلم تسليما كثيرا أما بعد، فقد قال الله تعالى في القرآن المجيد والفرقان الحميد: أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم، بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. إذ قالوا ليوسف وأخوه أحب إلى أبينا منا ونحن عصبة إن أبانا لفي ضلال مبين. اقتلوا يوسف أو اطرحوه أرضا يخل لكم وجه أبيكم وتكونوا من بعده قوما صالحين. صدق الله العلي العظيم. We started the discussion of Yusuf عليه السلام 2 weeks ago, and I mentioned that it will be pretty much the tafsir of Surah Yusuf, as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has mentioned the story of Yusuf alayhi salam from when he was a child almost up until his death. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions what took place with Yusuf alayhi salam. And there are many lessons that we derive from the story of Yusuf alayhi salam. So just as a recap, the surah starts in which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allows Yusuf alayhi salam to see a dream. And in this dream, he sees أحد عشر كوكبا والشمس والقمر رأيتهم لي ساجدين. He sees 11 stars, which is a reference to his brothers. And then he sees the sun and he sees the moon. They were all prostrating towards Yusuf alayhi salam. Now Yaqub alayhi salam was well aware he was himself a prophet of Allah, so he understood that this dream was a sign that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala was going to bless Yusuf alayhi salam with prophethood. And we mentioned last week that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that Yaqub alayhi salam told Yusuf alayhi salam at the time that don't inform your brothers of this dream. Now how they found out, whether Yusuf alayhi salam told them explicitly or they found out from some other means, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala doesn't mention it. Because how they found out isn't relevant, that we should be aware of who we tell about the favors of Allah. We should be aware of whom we inform about the favors of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Meaning, and as a reminder, as a recap, in this era and this time that we live in, it is very common to expose all the favors of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to the world through Instagram and all these other different platforms. And this is contrary to what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us in Qur'an. It's something you should keep between you and Allah. Yes, every once in a while, we should expose that ni'mah of Allah as a way of gratitude to Allah. But the climate of today is such that every tiny little thing is exposed on the internet. That is not something that the sunnah of Anbiya alayhi salam and the way Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala speaks to us in Qur'an. With that being said, we're going forward, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions the story of Yusuf alayhi salam. And I reference as well, إِذْ قَالُوا لَيُوسُفُ وَأَخُوهُ أَحَبُّ إِلَىٰ أَبِينَا مِنَّا وَنَحْنُ عُصْبَةٌ. There was a clear reason that Yaqub alayhi salam had, and this is a natural inclination. No one can control who you are more inclined towards. Meaning you may have multiple children, but from amongst your children there will be some, or maybe one, that you're more inclined to due to whatever quality. Now obviously Yaqub alayhi salam, some reasons for why he was inclined to Yusuf alayhi salam was the fact that his mother had passed away, and he loved his mother, and so his mother passing away inclined him, or he knew that he would be the prophet of Allah. So that's a very quick recap. Going forward, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talks about the conversation that took place between the brothers of Yusuf alayhi salam. What was that conversation of the brothers of Yusuf alayhi salam? The conversation was that they said, "Uqtulu Yusuf." Let's kill Yusuf. They wanted to be done with him. Let's kill him. Or itrahuhu arda. Then we'll throw him away in some land. Throw him away in some desert, he'll die on his own. He was a young child at the time. But what is very important to be mentioned here, Why is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioning this conversation? It's the last part that's being mentioned here. يَخْلُ لَكُمْ وَجْهُ أَبِيكُمْ. This is the problem. وَتَكُونُوا مِنْ بَعْدِهِ قَوْمًا صَالِحِينَ. It is a habit of people that we feel that if I do wrong, it's just that one little wrong, I'll do it. And then after that, مِنْ بَعْدِهِ قَوْمًا صَالِحِينَ. مِنْ بَعْدِهِ قَوْمًا صَالِحِينَ. Then I'll be righteous. Then I'll do tawbah. And then I'll fix it. I mean, just do this one sinner. Let me break this one thing. Let me steal this one thing. And then what will happen? I'll do tawbah. I won't do it again. But just right now, I can't resist. I can't resist this temptation. This is the deception of shaitan. إِنَّهُ لَكُمْ عَدُوٌّ مُبِينٌ. Whatever wasawis you get, he's never telling you something good for yourself. You may say to yourself, it will bring me closer to Allah, but I just got to do one sin first. No. And this is what the brothers of Yusuf alayhi salam, this is what they would say. This is what they were saying. Let's kill him. Let's throw him in some far land. And then our father, he will eventually forget about him. That's the assumption, right? The reality is, when somebody passes away, no matter how beloved they are to you, a time eventually comes where the pain that you felt at the time that they were gone starts to become less. That's just human, the way we are. So the idea was that, okay, yeah, he'll be mad, he'll be upset, but eventually he'll forget and move on. Now, before, it's not mentioned at this part, but see, shaitan, he did something to the brothers. All the way near the end of the surah, and when we say end of the surah, we're talking about many, 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 many years later. They forgot to do tawbah. They were upset that, our father didn't believe us. We'll discuss that in a second. Shaitan did not allow them to do tawbah and ask their father for forgiveness until when? All the way near the end of the story, when they meet Yusuf alayhi salam, and they come to Yusuf alayhi salam, and Yusuf alayhi salam says, do you remember what you did with Yusuf and his brother? And they say, well, are you Yusuf? And he says, yes, I am Yusuf. And then at that point they realize, we were the wrongdoers. Nothing since that time has changed us as people. Yusuf alayhi salam, and that was from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So it wasn't all the way till later on in life, then they were given the tawfiq to seek forgiveness. And then the story goes where they asked their father, Yaqub alayhi salam, ask Allah to forgive us. And Yaqub alayhi salam says, yes, I will ask Allah to forgive you. But there's a lesson to be learned from him. Don't deceive yourself into thinking that if I just do that one wrong, then I'll become better. By not doing that one wrong, that's how you're becoming better. So, now, it is said, which brother said this? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows that one of the brothers said, لا تقتلوا يوسف. قال قائل منهم. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not mention his name, but he says it was one of the brothers. قال قائل منهم لا تقتلوا يوسف. Don't kill Yusuf. He had, it is said, maybe it was Yahuda, majority of Mufassirin, or the opinion that it was the eldest brother, and he was the opinion that, let's not kill him. Like, that's our father's beloved. Look, here's what we'll do. وَأَلْقُوهُ فِي غَيَابَةِ الْجُبِّ. We'll throw him in some well or some cave. Then some travelers will come, they'll find him, and they'll take him away in some far land. We don't have to worry about it. We've achieved the same goal. And that is, we want our father to think of us as the best sons. We want his love and his attention the way he gives to Yusuf alayhi salam, and we can achieve that by simply not having Yusuf alayhi salam around. We don't have to kill him, but we can achieve that by letting him go in some far off land. So this is the plan. So now, the thing is, Yaqub alayhi salam, and there could be many reasons. Some tafasir, they write, Yaqub alayhi salam had a dream, and in that dream, he saw a wolf attacking Yusuf alayhi salam, and he saw different things, which were, he also recognized way in the beginning when Yusuf alayhi salam saw a dream, that the children already feel that I have a more inclination towards Yusuf alayhi salam and Binyamin. So that already naturally creates some sort of enmity. He knows that. So he tells Yusuf alayhi salam in the beginning, don't relay your dream. Because he knows they already are jealous of you. And if you tell them something else, you achieved this and you got this, they're going to be even more jealous of you. So Yaqub alayhi salam, he would not like to leave Yusuf alayhi salam, or he would not allow Yusuf alayhi salam to be away from him for a long time. Or he always preferred that Yusuf alayhi salam was within his vision, around him, near him, that he could always be able to see that he's there, he's safe. Because he knew, he had a feeling that there's enmity of these brothers, because he knows shaitan. Shaitan is so deceptive that he can take people who are related through blood and make them enemies of one another. So Yaqub alayhi salam did not like it. So they made a plan. قَالُوا يَا أَبَانَا. They said to their father, "Oh, our father, our beloved father, oh father, why don't you," and we're not saying it in the exact order, "why don't you send Yusuf alayhi salam with us? We're gonna go have a picnic. Nastabiqu. We're gonna go have a picnic, we're gonna race. We're just gonna go have some fun. We're not gonna go too far. And we'll just have some fun, brothers hanging out together. That's a good thing. Parents today would love their siblings to hang out. These days, siblings, they don't like one another. There's so much competition. So now they're going to Yaqub alayhi salam, and they're saying to Yaqub alayhi salam, "Why don't you send him? Don't you trust us? Don't you think we can take care of him?" Now at this moment, Yaqub alayhi salam, he could do one of two things. He is a prophet of Allah at the end of the day. And he has foresight. And he also, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala through dreams gives him information. Now he's already seen a dream. He could be blunt with his kids. "No, I don't trust you." Now, he knows that if he speaks to his children in this manner, then his children will become his enemies. Just like any parent today. You can't be so blunt and straightforward with your kids. Unfortunately today, you can't be, because the moment they say something to you and you respond in a very aggressive manner, they don't hesitate to consider you their enemy. It's very unfortunate. I've seen so many children that even come through this institution have no relationship with their father. Why? Because he would tell me this and he would tell me that. Yaqub alayhi salam was wise. He knew that if I told them straight, then what would happen? The enmity they already have towards Yusuf alayhi salam, it would also be directed towards me. So he had a wisdom in how he wanted to approach them. He says, it's not you. Yeah, you guys can have fun. I'm sure you guys will have fun and stuff. He goes, I'm afraid of the wolf. I'm afraid of the wolves. And not that you can't protect him from the wolves. But what might happen is, while you are doing your thing, you're going to be distracted. And if you're distracted, you might leave Yusuf alayhi salam somewhere where a wolf might attack him. And they're telling Yaqub alayhi salam, if that's the case, if that were to happen, that he would be attacked by a wolf while he's in our presence, whereas we are usba, we are a group, then surely we would be from amongst the losers. And Yaqub alayhi salam is feeling so compelled at this point, because on one end, he knows that if he just says no, and he just refuses to let Yusuf alayhi salam go, then here's what's going to happen. Their enmity will be directed towards him. So Yaqub alayhi salam is saying to himself, okay, I'm trying, I know I've seen this dream. Then he starts making them make promises. Make sure you take care of him. Make sure you take care of him. Going to the eldest brother, make sure you take care of him. Make sure you come back with him. No matter what happens, you take care of him. And there's different things that are mentioned in tafasir. And one thing is, Yaqub alayhi salam, he goes to the eldest and he says, you're Yusuf, if he gets tired, make sure you pick him up and take him. Don't go too far ahead of him. Don't let him go too far ahead of you. He's giving him these instructions. And he's hoping that, by these instructions, inshallah, they will come back safely. Let's see. This was the plans of the brother. They already set something in their mind. And so now, they go. And it is said that Yaqub alayhi salam, he walked with them for a certain amount of time. And he walked, and then he stopped at a certain point. And what they did was, while their father was watching them and walking with them, they put Yusuf alayhi salam on their shoulder, honoring him, loving him like a brother. Young boy at the time. He wasn't an adult. And, they're playing with him. And now his father maybe gets some sense of peace. So he stops at one point and they continue going. It is said they're about, what we would say in English, 3 miles away. They went about 3 miles away. Yaqub alayhi salam stood on that hill until he could see, until they became to the point where he couldn't see them. Because his heart couldn't take it. So he stood there and he waited until he could no longer see them. And once they realized that Yaqub alayhi salam can no longer see Yusuf alayhi salam, they threw him on the ground. And they beat him up. Started kicking him, bullying him, being mean to him. Oh, you're the favorite of the dad, you're the favorite, this and that. And now there are different narrations. There's so much to go through when it comes to Surah Yusuf. Honestly, we wouldn't get past a lot if I relay everything. It's here. I just think it's a lot of information. But at that time, Yusuf alayhi salam, he's going to his eldest brother. He's going to each one of his brothers, and he says, "What are you doing? I'm your brother. How could you do this to me?" He doesn't think that his brothers have it in them to harm him. They shouldn't. They're his brothers. But Shaitan, he's very powerful, very deceptive. And so they're beating him up. That jealousy is a very dangerous thing. One of the main lessons we learn from Yusuf alayhi salam's story is the jealousy. Jealousy has a very evil way. It has a very strong effect on a human being to do many, many things, even leading up to killing. So and Yusuf alayhi salam is crying to them and begging them and going to the elders and saying, you promised our father you'd take care of me, you promised our father you would do this, and yet you're allowing them to do this. So at one point it says that the eldest brother did feel some sort of raham. But the problem was, he was 1 out of 11. He was 1 out of 11. And so, when he would think about trying to save Yusuf alayhi salam, the other brothers would give him that eye. Don't you dare. Don't you dare do it. And so, they take him into a well. This well is said to be off the beaten path, off the main road. Really far off the main road, 3 miles away from where Yaqub alayhi salam was, off the main road. Meaning, it's not a path that people generally come to get water when they're traveling. It's a path that if someone lives in that area and they are taking their animals out for grazing. So it's a well that's a bit further off the main path. And so they get to the well. And when they get to the well, they already have a plan set. What's their plan? Very famous story. Their plan is, we know that if we go back with Yusuf alayhi salam, what's going to happen? We don't have any proof that a wolf attacked him. So they take his shirt off. And they'll take his qamis off. And they take it. And then they tie Yusuf alayhi salam. First, they didn't tie his hands. They tie a rope around his waist. And they start to lower him into the well. But Yusuf alayhi salam grabs the edge. And he's begging them, have raham on me. What are you doing? Think about our father. Like, what will his state be? You know his weakness. And if you're going to do this, what will his state be? No effect. At one point, so what they do, they take him up, they take his hands, and then they tie his hands. And then they start lowering him. Some brothers are like, just drop him. They wanted to be done with him. But no. The eldest was like, no, let's not do this. And so they continued to lower him. And then eventually they lowered Yusuf alayhi salam all the way to the bottom. And there are many, many different things that happen at this point. Amongst the first of them is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when relaying this part of the story. He says when they left Yaqub alayhi salam and they decided that they're going to put him in the well, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَأَوْحَيْنَا إِلَيْهِ لَتُنَبِّئَنَّهُمْ بِأَمْرِهِمْ هَذَا وَهُمْ لَا يَشْعُرُونَ. That we, and one opinion is that Yusuf alayhi salam was informed by Jibreel alayhi salam prior to this event happening, that this is going to happen to him. In this way, it would give him some sense and some sort of peace, knowing that, of course, let's make it very clear, it doesn't make it easier. It doesn't make it easier seeing your brothers do this to you, but it gives you some sense of peace knowing that you'll be okay. You'll be okay. So, one opinion is, وَأَوْحَيْنَا إِلَيْهِ لَتُنَبِّئَنَّهُمْ بِأَمْرٍ هَذَا وَهُمْ لَا يَشْعُرُونَ. It was Jibreel alayhi salam informing Yusuf alayhi salam of this. However, another opinion is وَأَوْحَيْنَا إِلَيْهِ لَتُنَبِّئَنَّهُم بِأَمْرِهِمْ هَذَا وَهُمْ لَا يَشْعُرُونَ, is that Yusuf alayhi salam, he heard this statement. And that is, a time will come where you will be able to recognize them. And you will be telling them of the things they did, وَهُمْ لَا يَشْعُرُونَ, but they won't recognize you. And that is precisely what happens in the story of Yusuf alayhi salam. When he finally becomes the treasurer of the country of Egypt, when he finally becomes the treasurer of Egypt, his brothers come because there's a drought and all the food was collected in the city treasury. When they come to Yusuf alayhi salam and they want to take their share by giving some money, Yusuf alayhi salam recognizes them, but they don't recognize Yusuf alayhi salam. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows best. Some other incidents that are related at this time in the different tafasir is that at this point, since they took the shirt of Yusuf alayhi salam out, and now Yusuf alayhi salam is half naked, it is said that Yusuf alayhi salam said to them, to his down and took his shirt off, he said, "Give me my shirt back." He says, "Look, if I'm to die in this well, that will be my kafan. That will be my burial shroud. That will be my kafan. And if I am not to die, then at least it will cover my aura, my private area. It will at least cover me the way I'm supposed to be covered." But they didn't care. And they put him into the well. Where did he land? In the bottom of the well. This is almost a very dry well, so there wasn't a lot of water in there. In the bottom of the well, there was a platform. So when Yusuf alayhi salam fell, he got onto the platform and that's where he stayed. And all these conversations that took place between Yusuf alayhi salam and his brothers was while he was on that platform. Some of the things that happened is that the brothers left. But then some of them were upset. Some of them decided, just forget this. Why are we going to let him sit there? And they wanted to come back and throw a boulder and kill Yusuf alayhi salam right away. But it was the elders who prevented them from doing such. And so they decided to leave. It is said that at the time Ibrahim alayhi salam was in the fire, when they threw him into the fire, he was naked. When they threw him into the fire, he was naked. And so we know from the story of Ibrahim alayhi salam that Ibrahim alayhi salam was provided from Jannah in that fire. That is why Ibrahim alayhi salam says, the best time of my life was when I was in that fire. So he was given some clothing when he was in that fire. And it is said that over time that clothing went from Ibrahim alayhi salam to Ishaq alayhi salam, or then into Ismail alayhi salam, and then eventually it got to Yaqub alayhi salam. From Yaqub alayhi salam, he decided to fold it up. Look, this is how it's narrated. He decided to fold it up. And he folded it up to however, I don't know how thick the cloth was, probably not that thick. It probably was able to fold it and make it very small, enough that it was something that could be put around in a necklace. Not the entirety of the clothes, but whatever it was folded into, then a necklace was made out of it. And Yaqub alayhi salam, to take the barakah of that clothing, you kept that clothing around the neck of Yusuf alayhi salam. And it is said that Jibreel alayhi salam came and he opened it and unfolded that clothing, and that is what Yusuf alayhi salam wore while he was in the well. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows best. This was mentioned in different tafsir books. So just something interesting. Now, the brothers, they have to go back and they have to convince their father that they did not throw him into the well, rather a wolf killed him. So they have this clothing, they have this cloth, they have his shirt. And now the thing is, you can't bring a shirt like a normal shirt, like a shirt that's just been worn. If a wolf attacks someone, you'll see signs of it. And here's a lesson to learn. When shaitan convinces you to do something wrong, when he gives wasawis, and your plan is to lie, you always forget something. Something gets left out. And so what happens? They remembered the part to bring blood. But you know what part they forgot? A wolf is a ferocious animal. When it attacks, it rips apart your clothing. It doesn't just attack, hey, it says take off your clothing and then he'll attack you. Hey, so your shirt looks nice. It's from Polo. I don't want to mess that one up. Take it out so I can eat you. We'll lose the shirt. And see, they forgot to rip his shirt. So, وَجَاءُوا أَبَاهُمْ عِشَاءً يَبْكُونَ. And here's another thing, how beautiful Qur'an relates this incident. You know what time they came? At nighttime. When it's dark. There's no electricity. There's no electricity. So Allah clarifies, when did they come? At nighttime. To do what? So that it would aid in their false. Because it would be dark, maybe in making it more truthful that they are telling the truth. وَجَاءُوا أَبَاهُمْ عِشَاءً يَبْكُونَ. It is said, the Salaf al-Salihin said, they came crying. One of the Salaf said, based on this story, we know the end result is that they lied. They were lying. We know they put Yusuf in the well. So one of the Salaf al-Salihin, reading this verse, he says something, and this is very important, especially today, and in all times, to be honest, but really today, and I mean in a specific subject, but I don't want to mention the subject. You understand what I'll talk about when I say what I'm saying. He says, be not deceived by the weeping of one who complains of having been wronged. Again, he says, be not deceived by the weeping of one who complains of having been wronged, because he may be a wrongdoer, though he weeps. And then he mentions the story of Yusuf. How often a time, and let's go on a lighter note. I have 3 children, alhamdulillah. My youngest, he thinks he's very slick. So here's what he does. He'll hit his brother. For whatever reason. He's annoyed. For whatever reason, he'll hit him. Maybe the other brother retaliates or doesn't retaliate. It could be that he didn't even retaliate. Or it could be that he retaliated. Now, my middle child, he might hit him back. I'm not a bad parent. Kids fight, okay? If you guys don't know, it happens. So, now he starts crying, and he's an expert at crying. He starts wailing. I mean, subhanAllah, the way we look at it, like, did something happen? Did you break an arm or something? And he's wailing, and he's wailing, and he's crying, and he comes to us, and this happens daily. I mean, not daily, but it happens a lot. He comes to us, he hit me. So now I'll be honest. In the beginning days, first as you go to my middle child, like, why are you doing that? He's so small. Why are you hitting him? And he just looked down like, always gets away with things. But then there were actually times where he lied. And the middle child or the eldest sibling never touched him. But he knew that if he cried and he came to us, that we would believe him. So eventually we had to start learning that we need to first ask what's happening. And so then there would be so many times we'd come and we'd be like, what happened? He hit me. Okay, why'd you hit him? And he wouldn't deny it. Yeah, well, I hit him. But he hit me back. Why'd you start it? So, like I said, don't be deceived by one weeping and complaining that they were wrong. Because it is possible that they are the wrongdoer, despite weeping. So this is what we learn from فَجَاءُوا أَبَاهُمْ عِشَاءً يَبْكُونَ. And so, very briefly, very quickly, inshallah, we'll end with this. And that is, they said to Yaqub alayhi salam, إِنَّا ذَهَبَنَا نَسْتَبِقُ وَتَرَكْنَا يُوسُفَ عِنْدَ مَتَاعِنَا فَأَكَلَهُ الذِّئْبُ. We left Yusuf alayhi salam by our let's say, whatever we brought, our picnic, our baskets and our extra stuff that we brought, we left them there. And we went on a race. And a wolf came and ate him. And here's the clue. First of all, they tell Yaqub alayhi salam, we know you're not going to believe us. We know you're not going to believe us. Because they already felt that Yaqub alayhi salam had more of an inclination towards Yusuf alayhi salam, and they felt that anything they would say, he wouldn't believe them. So, first thing they say, وَمَا أَنْتَ بِمُؤْمِنٍ لَنَا وَلَوْ كُنَّا صَادِقِينَ. So what do? وَجَاءُوا عَلَىٰ قَمِيصِهِ بِدَمٍ كَذِبٍ. So they brought the blood, they brought the clothing, بِدَمٍ كَذِبٍ, with the false blood. Now what is this story? What happened? It is said that they, on their way back, slaughtered a small baby goat, took the blood of that baby goat, and put it on Yusuf alayhi salam's clothing. Or, that's the thing. Now, there are a couple of stories here, and inshallah we'll leave it at this point. Some of the incidents go like this. Yaqub alayhi salam looks at it, and any of these incidents could have taken place. Allah knows best. He looks at them and he says, "What an impressive wolf." And they're like, "What do you mean, what an impressive wolf?" He killed him, but he didn't harm his shirt. He killed him, but he didn't harm his shirt. Impressive. Now, they feel like idiots, fools. We didn't think this through. He's a prophet of Allah. So that's one incident. I mean, right off the bat, he can tell they're lying. So some of the things that are mentioned, it is mentioned that Yusuf alayhi salam, he says, "Okay, go find me that wolf. If you say that it was a wolf that killed him, go find me that wolf. I'm going to take care of this wolf myself." So now they go find a wolf. Any wolf there. There wasn't a wolf, right? So they went and captured a wolf. And they bring him to Yaqub alayhi salam. They bring this wolf to Yaqub alayhi salam. Now he's a prophet of Allah. So he commands this wolf to speak. And he asks this wolf, "Did you kill my son Yusuf?" And this wolf says, and he says many things. But he says, "The flesh of the Anbiya are made haram upon us. We cannot consume the flesh of the Anbiya. We cannot cause harm to the Anbiya. As a matter of fact, your sons are the ones who came and surrounded me and then took me and brought me to you. They are the ones who captured me. I wasn't even attacking them. They came and captured me, and then they brought me here." So when did Yaqub alayhi salam, how did he do this? When he brought them, he brought the wolf. They were under the impression he'd bring the wolf and he'd kill the wolf. So he tells the wolf, he says, "Lay down the wolf," and then he comes closer to the wolf and he has this conversation with the wolf. And the wolf tells him, "No, I didn't kill him." And from this point, Yaqub alayhi salam understood that his brothers had done something with him. So at this point, he is demanding that his children go bring back Yusuf alayhi salam. What does he say to them? After all this planning and evil plotting, what does he say to them? As Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala quotes in Qur'an, they thought that they were going to be able to fool their father. And so Yaqub alayhi salam said, قَالَ بَلْ سَوَّلَتْ لَكُمْ أَنفُسُكُمْ أَمْرًا. Now this is for all you students that sit there and think that your teacher isn't aware of what you're doing. You think you're so slick, and you think that, oh, he doesn't know what you're doing under the table. This is your nuts telling you this. It's not the truth. They're well aware. So what some asatiza do, what do we do? فَصَبْرٌ جَمِيلٌ. We're extremely patient, hoping that one day you will learn from the errors of your way, and you'll actually pay attention in class. But in all seriousness, Yaqub alayhi salam, at that moment, knowing that this is from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would not waste his son. So he said, فَصَبْرٌ جَمِيلٌ وَاللَّهُ الْمُسْتَعَانُ عَلَى مَا تَصِفُونَ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will aid me in that which you have done. On one occasion, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam was asked, عن الصبر الجميل. What is sabr al-jameel? Sabr al-jameel is to be patient. هو الذي لا شكوى معه. هو الذي لا شكوى معه. Sabr al-jameel is to be patient in such a way that there is no complaint attached with that patience. Sometimes something happens, we get upset, we get irritated, we get frustrated, we may react, maybe not an extreme, but we react a little bit, and then we say, you know what, whatever happened, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will take care of it. But sabrun jameel means that you are so patient that there's no complaints with it. And that is what Yaqub alayhi salam showed his children upon the fact that they took his beloved son and threw him in some well. If you and I can look at the story of Yaqub alayhi salam and see what kind of difficulty he had to go through to lose a child, but still be extremely patient at that time, then what is it to say about the small difficulties that you have weekly or on a monthly, that inshallah Allah give us the tawfiq to also have sabrul jameel. Ameen. Jazakallah khair. We'll continue from here next week inshallah.